You're listening to Public Safety First, a podcast to help you learn about the First Responder Network Authority and how you can be part of the future of public safety technology. And now, your host.
Welcome to the Public Safety First podcast. I'm Lori Stone, and I serve as the Senior Public Safety Advisor for the Mid-Atlantic with the First Responder Network Authority. And I'm joined today by Teddy Cavalieri. He's the Chief IT Officer for the District of Columbia's Office of Unified Communications. OUC, as it's called, provides centralized district-wide coordination and management of public safety voice radio technology. OUC's been on FirstNet for about a little over a year, and we're really pleased that Teddy could join us today. Welcome to the podcast, Teddy.
Thanks for having me.
Let's start with learning a little bit more about you and your background. Tell us how you got involved in public safety communications.
Again, I've been working with OUC in the district a little over 15 years now. I came in as a wireless consultant to support a public safety radio system upgrade back in the early 2000s. I was part of a large engineering team helping build a 10-site citywide system that combined police, fire, and EMS, and about 20 other district agencies that were using the radio system in the district.
You've seen OUC grow in size and scope over the years. Can you tell me more about OUC and its operations?
Yes. So the Office of Unified Communications, that's the name, is a truly unified communications agency. We not only handle 911 emergency and emergency calls, but we also handle 311 city service calls. Our agency also provides public safety communication support for the police department, fire and EMS, Homeland Security, emergency management, and about 20 other district agencies. We also support interoperable communications with regional and federal partners and jurisdictions that work across borders with the district. The district handles close to 1.4 million 911 calls, close to 2 million 311 calls. We have over 10 million push-to-talks on the radio per year. We support the mobile data computers for the police department users and fire and EMS users. So truly unified communication center.
That's quite a workload. How many people work at OUC?
OUC has close to 400 employees between multiple divisions, between 911, 311, IT, administrative staff, training, transcription unit.
And you have call takers and dispatchers there answering not only 911 calls, but you talked about 311 or non-emergency calls, city service calls. Can you tell me a little bit between who calls 911 and who calls 311? What would be the difference?
A little bit on the 911, 311 split. So 911, we have a universal call taking system. Call takers can handle police, fire, and medical call. The same person is fully trained to handle all three protocols, as well as our agency handles police dispatch, fire and EMS dispatch, all civilians and members of the OUC. On the 311 side for city services, we handle close to 2 million calls that come into the system. We generate close to 600,000 events out of those. We handle city service requests for over 14 agencies right now, including Public Works, Department of Transportation, some Department of Health calls, and citywide information calls. People calling in to get information for numbers for an agency or hours of operation for an agency. So we handle all those type of calls for the city.
It's quite a scope and variety of calls you all handle. Now, you all decided to sign up for FirstNet service about a little over a year ago. Can you tell me why your agency decided to join the network?
Yeah, the OUC, working closely with the city's Office of the Chief Technology Office, we have been involved in testing and validating broadband technologies for a number of years. I would say over 14, 15 years at this point. We had a pilot system in the city that we tested for a number of years. We were one of the 13 or 14 jurisdictions that was kind of piloting, broadband type solutions before FirstNet. And we were fully supportive of the effort of trying to get something like FirstNet in place when public safety agencies were lobbying Congress, and we were happy that it got approved and got funded, and a vendor was selected to get it done. So it was a big, big win for public safety, at least from the OEC perspective. We see the value of it. We've always used broadband technologies outside of radio. Radio handles critical voice technology, voice communications, but the data portion of it, we had relied for almost forever, at least since I've been with OUC, and even before that, on a commercial provider for that data connection for AVL, automatic vehicle location, or CAD data into the vehicle and the laptops and tablets that are in the first responder vehicles. So this was a big win for public safety, having a dedicated broadband capability that has priority and preemption and a lot more control, at least the ability to be able to get information when there are outages, and 24/7 dedicated help desk for us if there's an issue to call in and get information on the specific public safety network rather than competing on the commercial systems.
Had OUC experienced any issues that really brought about the need to have FirstNet?
Oh, definitely. I'll give you an example. During the Navy Yard shooting years ago, one of the complaints that we were getting and a lot of public safety agencies were having was the ability to be able to communicate. Nobody that responded to the incident or was close by supporting the incident, majority of the users had a hard time being able to even send email, let alone pictures and video. So there was limited data communication around the Navy Yard incident because so many users were hogging up on the available radio channels in that area. July 4s, when you get a lot of people, 500,000 people on the National Mall, you start degrading the capability to have data communication. So we've been involved in trying to either build or leverage a solution like this for a number of years. There's a huge value and benefit in having a dedicated public safety network, broadband network. And we've tested it and it worked. We've used it in a number of events and incidents. We've worked with partner agencies like Fire EMS and SEMA and Octo to test and validate that this will meet our needs for large events.
I'm glad you mentioned the Navy Yard shooting. It was coming up on the 7-year anniversary of the Navy Yard shooting, and communications has definitely changed. We've had FirstNet come on board with our partner, and we've seen other improvements in LMR systems overall too. When you look back on that time period, what do you see as standing out mostly as what's improved for public safety communications?
I would go back to this dedicated broadband access for public safety, right? Not only do we have a dedicated spectrum, but the structure between FirstNet and AT&T, having access to all the available bands on AT&T commercial as well as the band 14, which gives us a flexibility to be able to be in anywhere and take advantage of the vast AT&T capability and infrastructure. And it's stable, it's more secure. We have access for support. We have access to get additional information if we see issues and challenges from an end user. As we plan on expanding our users, we have access to not only that 24/7 support, but a dedicated team that we actually talk to every few weeks to talk through challenges. Or if we notice something that we expected to work didn't work, that team gets engaged and they're engaging their level 2 and level 3 engineers to try to determine what the issue was and how to fix it and get it done in a short period of time. So I think that's the biggest value of what we're getting out of it.
I'm glad you mentioned that customer support and that attention to your issues that might crop up over time. Tell me a little bit more about how OUC is using FirstNet.
We started with the cell phones that are issued to employees, and we validated that was working. We worked through some tweaks that we needed to do. That is expanding now that we've expanding it to the telework team. We got, I would say, about close to 40% of 311 staff teleworking at this point, and we put them all on AT&T FirstNet MiFis, and we're looking to continue to expand it into our mobile data computing environment so we can take advantage of the same capability.
You said about half of your 311 staff are now teleworking, otherwise known as remote operations. How has that transition been?
Yeah, unfortunately, due to COVID and the social distancing recommendations that all of us are living through, we wanted to make sure that was also available in our call center environment. We manage 2 call centers and then a mobile command vehicle that can accommodate about 17 seats. So what we did was we try to separate one employee from where the next person is sitting. But even with that, with the number of staff that we have at any given time, that wasn't enough. So the teleworking capability is what is giving us that leeway to be able to truly provide that social distancing in the call center environment. So setting it up like anything else, 911 and 311 systems were in majority of jurisdictions were not set up for remote work. So we had to figure out a way to make sure that the systems that we have can extend into a remote environment and have a capability to transport that traffic into our environment and in a safe and secure manner. So we work closely with our partner agency, Okta, the Office of the Chief Technology Office, on VPN access, and then we're leveraging our FirstNet MiFi devices to basically be able to route that traffic from the employee's home or remote work into our infrastructure in a secure manner.
What kind of testing and validation are you doing to ensure that calls are reliably routed and handled?
Majority of call centers, and particularly here in the district, we definitely look at data. We're a big data user. We have KPIs that are set up for the agency that we strive to meet or exceed, which majority of the time we've done very well meeting or exceeding those key performance indicators. We got for 911 as an example, we try to answer 90% of the calls in 10 seconds. That's been a standard that we've had for a while, which we mostly meet. And for 311, we try to get 90% of the calls, 90 or 70% of the calls in 90 seconds. Our management team, both on the 911, 311, have the capability to be able to see performance for the previous day, as well as the current day. They have an ability to be able to see if we're meeting those KPIs or not.
Now, what has been the reaction from staff who are able to work remotely and don't have to come into the call center?
I think it's been great. I think telework is a challenge for everyone that doesn't do it every day. Our environment, we were set up to be on premises, handle 911, 311 dispatch. So it's been a learning curve for everyone, from the management team, IT team, and our operations team on the 311 side, as well as other teams like our telephone reporting unit, who can handle requests for police reports remotely. So it's been a learning curve, but overall, I think this was a success. We have a hotline and email account that was created for our remote workers. If they have any issues, they can send it in. We have IT staff available 24/7 to monitor those requests for any type of system issues or access issues. And we triage it and try to handle the first two levels. And if we're not able to handle it, we will either work with our partner agencies or our vendors that can help us figure out those challenges. So far, we're not having any major issues. Our training team has done a pretty good job. And I'll have to give credit to our frontline employees that are doing this remotely. We handle a lot of calls every day. So fortunately, the environment has completely changed. You're not sitting in front of a designated position that was set up for a call handling in a call center. You're working off a laptop and a headset, and you have to work through a wireless connection. And what we've heard so far is people are doing good with it. And we're not getting a lot of negative feedback.
That's really good to hear. I can imagine their job has changed dramatically in the last few months with COVID-19 and the amount of calls and questions they get in. Have you all been taking those kind of calls? And what is the process that your call takers and dispatchers?
The great thing about having a robust 301 solution in any jurisdiction is the ability to add on things as needed. COVID-19 has been one of those challenges. We work very closely with the district's Department of Health. They set up a hotline to be able to handle requests citywide for all types of things, including testing centers, how to get your test results, meal delivery for folks that need those type of services. We work very closely with them to set it up on our 311 system and be able to do recordings and integrated voice recording systems and call trees. We're able to reroute calls to a third-party vendor that Department of Health was able to procure and have in place, as well as our staff. We were provided additional information that if a 311 call comes in, they're able to triage the call and be able to route it to the right place or be able to provide the appropriate response. So it's been great. This has been a great partnership.
I like that you mentioned how 311 had the ability to expand its operations. How do you see then this network really kind of helping expand that technology landscape for 911 or even 311 call takers in our region?
Yeah, having a nationwide interoperable network is something that the region has strived, and I believe the whole country has strived to get to. Years and years ago, it used to be a patchwork of interoperable patching, if you can imagine, from radio to radio system to radio system. There was no direct radio. I can't take my radio and drive 30 miles and jump on the next jurisdiction's radio and still be able to communicate back into the district system. So what FirstNet has done is that nationwide interoperability. I can take my device anywhere in the country and still be able to get back into my home network in a secure manner, which is a big change for public safety. We got a lot of systems that need to be secure and that need to communicate in a very secure manner. This solution is providing that capability. And how the region will benefit is there is an interoperable secure network. And as more and more jurisdictions adopt it, and if they decide to switch over, the benefit of it is we can start peeling off some of the added, network infrastructure we put in to secure that communication from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. So there's a lot of growth that's going to come out of this, as well as the ability eventually to be able to do some things such as 911 from a remote environment. So these are the kind of things that we're looking to hopefully get into in the future.
That's a great thing to hear. Do you all have plans for additional advances to improve your services?
As we do expand our FirstNet devices and our mobile data computer solutions for our first responders, we're going to be able to backhaul not only the data that writes on those computers, but other items, something like a narcotics box and the ability to be able to monitor that narcotics box through disconnection from the vehicle, maybe through a rugged mobile router. Those are the kind of things that we're looking to do.
If we gave you a crystal ball, Teddy, and you had to look into the next decade of where public safety communications and technology should head, what are your predictions?
The nice thing about having a solution like FirstNet that's based on a standard, gives us hope that we won't be using an outdated system or technology for years to come, right? The hope is that, that investment that goes in takes us from 4G or 5G or whatever the next generation of broadband communication technologies are, and which is a huge benefit to public safety. We're not just a voice-centric responders anymore. Data has become a huge part of response now, right? So as an example, if we have police or fire EMS responders to an incident, we want to be able to make sure that we can not only monitor the communication of those devices, and be able to support them if they have an issue. It's not just radio communications anymore. Our first responders are heavily relying on data, not just voice, not just CAD, video, pictures, text, backup to our radio systems. I mean, those are the kind of things that we're going to be looking to do. The ability to update a radio, hopefully remotely, in a much faster way than we've been able to do it using broadband radio channels today.
As we close out our podcast, Teddy, I wanted to ask you if you had any advice for emergency call centers around the nation that are thinking about FirstNet but haven't quite taken the plunge yet. What would you tell them?
I think the district benefited because we were one of the early adopters going back years when we were testing out broadband type solutions. So we had an inside look on what to expect. And I think when this happened, we fully started taking advantage of it. So my recommendation to any other, jurisdiction that's potentially looking into switching it, it's a great solution. It's a standards-based solution. There's investments that go into it. The system is going to be upgraded and maintained. And we will get access to the newer technologies that is available in the commercial sector that would allow us to do things much more efficiently and have more reliable communication capabilities, emergency mobile vehicle types, in a reliable and secure way. So I would say that's my last thought.
Well, it's been a really great conversation with you, Teddy. I appreciate your time and your insights and your advice. Thank you for joining us today, Teddy.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks for listening today. We're excited to have you join our podcast community. Make sure to subscribe on iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube. You can learn more about the First Responder Network Authority at firstnet.gov and learn about FirstNet products and services at firstnet.com.